Hey, recording started. Whoa. Interesting day today. And a bit of a frustrating day. From the perspective of, it's not extreme frustration because, like Zone, for instance, it didn't move. It didn't really go down either. I mean, I hope at this point you're either in for the long haul on Zone or you're not baggy because it got back to where we bought it at. But frustrating regardless. But, part of the reason we bought Zone, we got excited about Zone, was that old money, big money, bought it. Big money's got money, right? They're fine. They threw, 10, 20,000 into Zone, and when it pops off, it pops off. But that's different than what we're trying to do, which, I've always traded for the smaller account. What is this? I put this tape here, because I put it over the camera and it's over the edge. So frustrating on Zone. We'll see what comes. It's really not going down. It's not like it got crushed. So there's that. Let's look at Geth. Let's look at the chart on Geth, which was another watch list potential yesterday. And, it's kind of... The candles aren't ugly or not ugly. Over the course of the day, it spiked up right at open, and then it came down into a pretty nice buy zone. And then near the end of the day, if you if you contrasted that with prior days at close, there have been days where it shot up right before close only to get sold up. There have been other days where it shot up at open and dumped on close. And here we are in a situation where, the buying was relatively heavy into the close. And we're still kind of in this level where it looked okay. So I remain interested to see what comes with Geth because, to my eye, the last time we attempted Geth, it moved a bit and then kind of got dumped off. It was a nice trade actually for us all. But now it's actually kind of rounding out. It might be nice. I remain interested in it. High. They went current. But they've been filing, right? So what's the play on high? Come on. Higher highs with candle body. KST and signal line now firmly above zero. And the share structure remains too thin down here. So really, to me, to have these sevens really wasn't a loss. It wasn't a gain, but it wasn't a lot. High. It wasn't a loss. And I think the thing that we often have to remember, if you look at your favorite, like let's look at some top class trip runners. Can I do it today? Oftentimes what you find when they're actually set up to be a nice trip run, they take a bit of time. High's been pumped a few times. It really has. And there's baggies all over it. And the thing about trips is they are full of bags. That's trips. Let's look at VYST getting, that's why they're in trips. It's a bag creation machine. So to expect Insta-runner is rare. Let's look at VYST, for instance, which after it got dumped off, I don't want that, whatever that is, I don't want it. After it got dumped off, it existed in this trips range for days and days and days and days. And, people sat on the bid for what, effectively 3 weeks to a month. And then suddenly it became the VYST monster run we know today. Most of the times, like if you really want a trip runner, and think about when we picked up NHPI on the D's trips list in the summer, it took a bit, a month or more, or two, because these things get locked up. And I wouldn't be surprised to say this is the float. But as the 25th, it's the OS. So at worst case scenario, 729 million float. The last trip on that float that people got pissed off with and then went, oh, I had trips, was Cali. Identical setup for share structure. So, it's one of these things where you could say, well, they're current, it's nothing happened. It could go the way of Shimon or Sohm, SOHM. But the reason we like it is the reason that we were so early on Cali. Well, that was before KSM. And the reason that we spot, but in this sea of shit trips that everyone's swimming in, we spotted the good one time and again, and hate it or love it. Right now, High's a damn good trip, and it's got volume. I haven't heard that forever. Didn't that run a while back? God. Just pumped in November and then nothing. And now we got an AS raise to 10 billion. Oof. Yikes. Stop sign, no filings, no news. Well, the giant AS raise, there's a chance that they may rev it up. But oh good, they're into weed now. Weed real estate. God bless. These things are tough stuff. So you contrast that with the quality of high interesting news, investment, balance sheet turned around. Sometimes it takes time. Let's talk about KLMN. There it is. It got the CE today. Caveat emptor. And this is the shame of the market that we play in. Oh, it has a CE. What's going to happen? Will it bounce? It could bounce, but the last time we dealt with that, now they got an 8K out, which is what? Accounting firm change, so no one cares about that. But, you know, when you get into these types of situations and something gets a CE, we saw it on Woodbag and a few other things, it gets a CE. Just like if something has crazy news overnight and you want to try it out and you broad slap it, you know, you say, you know what, shoot, I'll get out, but I'm not taking over 9. You'd make a limit buy for 9. And the same goes for KLMN. And the strategy really for exiting in a fast way when something gets a CE overnight is to, I don't like that. Yes, it did. And it did go longer, but that's a very rare exception. It's a very rare exception. Yeah, it is a shame. So, you know, when you're looking at KLMN on the daily, you know, you got a support here, 647. You got another support here, 531. You know, I mean, really, people might be trying. They don't want to get out as low as 520. That seems awfully low. What I like to do when I broad whack things that get the CE overnight is I usually like to look at those supports. Because these people, I don't take a loss. These people, I don't take a loss. So I do take a loss, and 520 maybe some people's things. So, you know, I'd go for what, 510. I'd whack the bid with a 510 limit sell and hope I get higher. Or if I don't get it right away, get caught on the bounce up. Very frustrating. Good news is, this was obviously always some type of promo, which explained the front loading and the lack of news or catalyst. I'd hoped it was a filing play, an interest play, but it's not. And so whatever group that they were preying upon, and here's a similar one for you, by the way, which is a very similar type of play. Petco, PTCO. PTCO had a run. It was a legendary run. Right here. It was, is that it? No, that wasn't even it. Here. This was it in February. And, you know, I was on it, and then, you know, it got the CE and took a big gap down. But the thing is, these things are so fat and so hyper liquid, and there's so much money going in. And then also the people, like I said, the people that they prey upon, whoever they were promoting to, don't necessarily seem like everyday OTCers. So they may not even understand that this has happened or the relevance of it. So there is an opportunity to get out. But when you're broad whacking something, you need to use those resistances. And I've always found that nice. Those clear resistances and supports as your broad whack zone. Because in every zone is a group of baggies that don't want to take a loss. It'll bounce, it'll bounce, it'll bounce. Rarely will it bounce. So take the opportunity to take advantage of their optimism and get out with a small loss. You know, for the sake of $1 a share loss, because it is so, it is so fat. It's trading fat as hell. There's an opportunity to get out safely, and that's how you do it. Very unfortunate. What are you going to do? I mean, this is the life we lead, and, you know, it got me to thinking about our chat a long time ago, which was, you know, using less size. And in this market, it's not a game out here with regard to the types of securities we're trading and things like that. And you will find me very, very hard pressed, truth be told, to put down more than $1,000 in this market. I don't do it because you just never know. And I think it's a mistake that a lot of people make. They believe this is the one. They get wrapped up in the greed of, you know, if you want to go heavy, this is not the right exchange. You might get away from it for time to time, but you look out there into the sea of baggies that are swarming around. They're all bagging because they can't stomach taking such a big loss because they invested too much blindly. And the best traders in the world will tell you, small, keep it small. Those things add up much better because trading is all losses. Just 24/7 needles and daggers sticking you in the sides and the ass and everywhere. And it's being able to not take that fatal blow that allows you to finally take a swing at something. And it's easy to lose track of that. And it's just like some of us are still guilty of overholding. That's the greed talking. You know it's done. And I'm guilty of it too. So, very aggravating. Find is the reinstatement, and that's going to lead us to our discussions about reinstatement cadence. Now this, to my eye, is a ticker that is really exploding up and out of a bad downward channel. And the difference between this and other reinstatements is, there's SEC filings there. There's a reinstatement today. And then there was sustained interest. Whether, we thought it was just our bids, and then when our bids disappeared, bigger bids showed up. So this is going to be my first hold for 2018 reinstatements. I see the interest. I see the potential. I see the filings, which show an acquisition of a cement company of some sort, and the ownership filings. And I see a share structure that's set up really for success on a 47 million share float in Dubs. That is now just current overnight. Did it just go current? So, you got a pink current ticker with a merger that got completed on December 31st, reinstatement on Nevada SOS. This shit's going live, baby. And so it may happen sooner than later. But if it doesn't, I'm prepared because of this. And this is what it's all about. The cadence of reinstatements, the pain. Because you look at these things, and your eyes bug out of your head. Boom, I need it now, I need it now, I need it now. And these take a lot of patience. A lot of patience. And if you're someone that finds yourself getting impatient, this is going to be hard work for you. And last year it was a real test. What is this now? See what's happening? Last year it was a real test for me on almost all of them. So let's take a look at a few and see if we can understand the average amount of time it takes and the way they move. Because you got to understand from an empathetic perspective, outside of this group here, and a growing number of people, but still very, very small. They don't know what the hell a reinstatement is or why it's relevant. That's right. There is a lot going on there with fine. There's some restricted shares. There's all sorts of shit. But, today it is in dubs on a 42 million share float. I don't want to get too in the weeds with it yet. So let's look at some of these reinstatements because, you know, honestly, these people out there who are going boom wee and tweeting gifs and Drake clapping gif and all this bullshit, they don't even know what this means. So because of that, until there's news, it doesn't exist. Y'all got Super Bowl? These don't have Super Bowl until they do have Super Bowl. So before I jump into these, let's talk about two real classics. Anyone remember this one? This was quite a big run. 16 cents. Hell of a run. Who were those lucky folks on February 15th, 2017? How are they so smart? Turns out they weren't that smart at all. Nope. Something got reinstated in low trips. And people bought the piss out of it. And they waited. And it took them, I mean, well, look though. Let's look at it up close. Because you're only looking at the end goal. So what if you filled your reinstatement at trip 4 and then set a sell for it at trip 8 for half and get your original shit out? You know, just a good till close, good to whatever. Make it good for 2 months. Fill it and get half up on the ass, good for 2 months. The shit gets taken. And you go, okay, well, now I have my initial back. Let's see what happens. That's not the end of the world. That's not too tough. And maybe, again, that's only, 3 months. Now you're hitting dub 2 with your freebies. Maybe you split those in half and unload half of them. But that's really because I could feel it, and I've been there too. When you look at that list of reinstatements, you go, oh boy, this is the key. All I got to do is this. And it is punishing if you're a small account individual like me, or you know what I mean? Punishing. The whole world's passing you by. And you're waiting on this bullshit? So let's look at another one. So we're looking at BYOC, one of the most legendary ones outside of GB&W. It was really only a month to get on freebies. And then, it was another 2.5 months to get on hyper freebies. This whole run took from March or mid-February to an all-time high of 16, almost a year, 10 months. It's painful, but that's for the ultimate high. Like, what if I don't know, would trip 2 to 0.02 be okay with me? Yeah, probably. So there's ways to do it. Let's look at another one. And you'll start noticing a trend on these. LDSI is one that's made a great run over the past year. I don't want, what is that? I don't want that. And looks like a lot of really brilliant people picked it up. How low they get it? I guess I can't see today. Well, it was mid trips, low trips. I can't do it. Low to mid trips on December 22nd. Wonder if there's any SOS activity to back that up. Oh, December 22nd, 2017. Low trips to 0.015. So the goal with these, and my goal with these has always been this. I mean, you're never going to peg the top. That's not how trading works. But if you're trading well enough and you could get on freebies, that wouldn't be the end of the world, right? Let's look at another one. NNRX. What was the day of reinstatement? May 8th, 2018. Oh, there it is, May 9th. Trip 2 to dub 15. Could have just grabbed that and got on freebies and seen what happened. And between the summer, fall, and today, you had a run from another massive run. So there's a way to play them, but they're going to test you. And you know, we looked at on all these tickers an average of about 3 months to see a sizable return. And that generally seems to be the case. Like, let's look at another big one here. Let's look at some other ones. Gordo. Everyone was so, well, that's what the news was, yeah. But back then it was nothing. Gordo reinstatement was hard work. And you see, this was the first time it got pumped and everyone got so mad about it. If you were one of them, looking back, that was still a very good trade. I believe, let me check it out. Gordo reinstatement. I don't want that. Trip 4 on January 23rd. So it was very much front loaded. And for me at the time, if you knew me then, you would know that I didn't touch or care for Gordo because of the fact it didn't even exist to me. Yes, because prior to that, even though it was less than a year, I didn't see the SOS activity. I saw a commercial agent resignation and then an amendment, but I did not see a reinstatement. I just saw an amendment, which does not equate to SOS active. So for me, this run, because a lot of people are really triggered at Gordo run, the first run, didn't exist. But this one did. After the after everyone bagged out. Trip 4, where you could have grabbed it, to dub 5. Now let's talk about, because I've seen a lot of questions about what is the importance of the reinstatement? How do I find reinstatements early? What does reinstatement mean? Like, if you're just diving into KSM, oh, here's a good one. Quickly. AFTC. Anyone in that? I'm not. Did anyone give a shit about AFTC prior to that? Prior to that moment? No, they didn't. Just there. Reinstatement is intent. Not always, but often. Reinstatement is the intent to go current. Just like fine, they were pink current. Yeah, they've been SEC filing, and the OTC markets accepted their filings, but they had to get paid up in their state. They wanted to release news on OTC markets official wire, so on and so forth. They're legitimately becoming a new business again. Is it a legitimate long-term investment opportunity? Hell no. Come on, son. So these are the things to consider. The gains can be exceptional, but you need to be prepared for pain, right? That's what you got to do. You got to be prepared that it's gonna hurt for a bit. So if your entire trading wad is in it, there's no thoughts for you. If you're looking back at your worst loss, and obviously you got to keep in mind that this would be if you just caught it at where it opened the day of the reinstatement or the day after the reinstatement, right? So there's a chance that you might have slapped it too high. And the CM Go reinstated after they pumped it. Super D's. You know who didn't buy it when it was SOS inactive? Me. So let's talk about the stages of these things and the strategy. Because I saw, you know, there were people, they were bidding, they wanted in to find. They wanted in to find today. What is this? What did I do here? What have I done? Oh, I see. Oh, for God's sake. What have I done, guys? These aren't prices to me. Ah, okay. No. Oh, for the love of God. Anyways, find. I can't see prices. I can't do anything, actually. Anyways, find. We looked at it and we said, okay, this is reinstated. If you go deep into the filings, you might see, yeah, there are notes. There's people with restricted shares. There's all sorts of things. But today, these aren't the prices. Oh, for God's sake. No, I don't have to. How about this? I don't care about anything. Shut it all down. Let's go for it. That's how I do it. Oh, good. Anyways, holy shit. Tough day. Anyway, so fine to me, I'm saying, okay, you know what, they're going current, they've got an acquisition, you know, and we've got a chart really exploding off the bottom under heavy volume, the most it's seen for quite some time, and we're in a situation. So this was basically dubbed 75-ish here. So yeah, I bought the top of the prior candle. But from the perspective of the chart and the share structure, that dub 75 maybe not a terrible entry. I mean, if we're looking at the weekly chart, you know, maybe not too bad. There it is about there. Okay. So I've got a good entry on this reinstatement. Now, there were people bidding it today and trying to get in, and I appreciate that, because this could get good for a while. But it could get good in 6 months, you know, and so it's got to be one of those things you're prepared to sit on, because it can take a lot of time. Now let's talk about now there's a lot of nuance to this, but this is the gist. Okay. Who here is struggling with custodianship versus reinstatement versus is custodianship a thing? I don't think so. But like, hey Pat, why is custodianship a bag when reinstatement is not a bag? Because reinstatement looks just as baggy to me as custodianship. Is anyone else struggling with that? And if you've been around for a while, I apologize if this is a bore, but I think it's something that we need to understand. Because we got most of the people that were here when I started doing this and originally did this are gone. All right. Here's the short and dirty. And Andy, who knows this stuff inside and out, who's here, can attest there is a lot of nuance to this and a lot of ins and outs, but it's kind of like this. My steps start at reinstatement. They do not include custodianship. Why? So a ticker becomes delinquent and it becomes long delinquent. And I make calls to the CEO and I say, hey, what's happening with your ticker? Who dis? And then I go to court and I say to the court, I intend to be the custodian for this ticker and take care of the shareholders. Bang. Okay, you're the custodian. You are now the owner of this ticker. My job after that is to set up meetings and see if there are any debt holders who are looking to be repaid on their debt that the company had to them. Chances are those note holders, debt holders, have written that debt off. So if you look at the filings on custodianships that have gone current, and Lazar tickers are a good example, you will see at the bottom that he's held a meeting for debt holders and none of them showed up. Because the shit's written off years ago. 10 years ago I had that debt. So at that point, then it becomes a clean type shell. And it sits, waiting for a merger candidate. Now it can go one of two ways. But most of the time, to get reinstated, to get back in paid on your back taxes in your state, like if it was you and you were the custodian on a ticker. Now, I own this ticker now. I went to court and I got this ticker. And what are shell salesmen? They're used car salesmen, right? The used car salesman went to the auction, got the car at a good deal, and now is looking for a buyer. Custodianships are used cars sitting on the lot. All these names you hear are Carl, Lazar, Bauman, whoever the hell, Glass, Ass, right? They've got a used car lot full of old dead ass tickers. And most of them are SOS inactive. What does it take to get reactivated with the state? Paying back taxes. Bing! Now, to my eye, and you will find on most of these tickers, if I've got a merger candidate lined up or I've got a used car buyer lined up, he's paying the taxes. She's paying the taxes. They are going to pay the taxes. I'm not paying back taxes on a ticker when I can get the person who's dying to be publicly traded so they can dump on your ass. I can make them pay. It's not always the rule. But for the most part, save for a couple of custodians, it's a safe bet that the play starts at reinstatement. Boom. Because whoever took the used car and drove it off the lot, they got to get insurance. From there, after reinstatement, well, what do you got? You got the green light to file on OTC markets. Can't do it unless you're reinstated. Can't do it. So, what do? They get reinstated, then the filings begin. No one cares. Then the news begins. And they care. So when I say custodianships are bags, I mean it. If I showed you a list like this of every custodianship run, it'd be a list of bags. Because gaining custodianship does not equal merger. That's just me buying the car at auction, not finding a buyer. Didn't close the sale. I'm just a used car salesman who bought a car at auction. Your best chance, and there's always nuance, and there's always, well, what about this case? What about that case? Most of the, I got to shoot for the body. Pop, pop, pop. I can't dwell on the outliers, or else I'd, you know what I'm saying? Well, this person shot himself in the face and he didn't die. Most die. Right? So I've got to play to the big target. And the big target is, once reinstated, we go live. That's the majority of reinstatement plays. There's always outliers. There's always what about. But that is the majority. And the reason reinstatement is so important is because it shows intent. Sometimes they don't go live. But based on this chart, that reinstatement moment is very relevant. And that's why you'll be like, hey, you know, this is running, hearing custodian. I don't even blink. I don't care. Because this is the moment. This does not fit into my steps. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Do this, then we'll talk. Because that's when the action happens. How about that? Is this making more sense? Because I know what it's like to try and dive into something new where everyone's speaking a language. You know what I'm saying? UPIN. We've talked about UPIN. Waiting for filings, waiting for this, waiting for that. UPIN reinstatement August 2018. Shot at 0.04 to 0.1. That's a good trade. Since then, there's been almost no trade. Well, they go nowhere because Kyle, they're not going anywhere. I can buy an old whip off the auction, but if no one wants to buy it, who gives a shit? So that's what it's all about. That's what reinstatements. Oh, GBNW. This is a fascinating one. Now, GBNW is the legend, the number one, the biggest. And you've never heard of it. You never heard of it. You never did. Did the entire thing with a CE. Reinstated. Never released a filing. Nope. LA. Why do you think, Stock Junkie, they promote custodianships like it's going to be a runner? If you had a guess. Like, what would be the formula for that? Oh, nugs. The formula is this. No, that's not the formula, Cammy. Thin. Low. No debt. It's called pumping. Oh shit, this had a custodianship. No one cares about custodianships. I could load the piss out of this and then make it a runner tomorrow. And then get 100% gains. Right? And you bought it. I can just slap the ass all day on this because no one gives a shit about custodianship until I tell them to. GB&W, nothing. Maniacs. Maniacs. When was it reinstated? January 23rd, 2018. It's even front loaded, but there it is on the 24th. Could have grabbed it, whatever price this is, and sat on it. You would have got dub 99 if you hit it perfectly to 220. Dub 99 to 220. The biggest run of the year. Still. Oh, God. What is going on here in December? Has anyone sold and made money in this in October? What sector are these guys going into in September? That's September, sorry. It's a hijacked empty shell garbage ticker. No one knows what the hell is going on. But it did that. The right amount of hearing. Huh? At the right moment. And every once in a while, if you are going long on reinstatements, not with heavy money, not with your life savings, but if you are going long on reinstatements, sometimes there's an Easter egg surprise in it. And GB&W was that. What is yours? Custodianships. So for me, my steps will always start at reinstatement, never custodianship, not once. Never, ever. AM 1640 hit the nail on the head. Before, we were all over these reinstatements, and I got a bug in my, it just irritated me. And Tara and Chris 11 Tacos and guys who we didn't even know back then, Andy, all them, were going like, yo, there's something tipping these things off. And it was reinstatement. And that's what lit them up. And last year, people were running reinstatements after we started going crazy about reinstatements and spotting their front loads on reinstatements. So what they do, they move to custodianship. Custodianship is the new shit now. Custodianship is where it starts. Or what about front loading and then creating your own fake reinstatement? That's the new shit. But the ones with the meat, the ones that ultimately do it right, the ones that are sustainable, will always do it this way. LNTP, classic. They made fun of me. They made fun of me here. Illiquid, Kiko, a liquid pumper? Plumper for sure. Kiko, a liquid pumper. Remember that? No. Kiko reinstatement a wearer. Can't even get a reply now. We're at $2 though. Huh? Huh? No. What? Final thoughts. A lot of people like that was the popular shtick. And now we're attempting to trade Druce. And it's like being in Vietnam and having the Viet Cong pull your fingernails out. The real traders are not trading that shit. That pig stuff. They want to see upside. Final thoughts. And Conrad, I'm not signaling you out because it's a thought. You know, it's a thought. You know, well, why don't we? And any float is fine if that like in NRX, if that catalyst is decent and the money volume's there, I'll take a trillion float if it's doing $1 billion a day. I don't give a shit. BCCI. Final thoughts. You know, Conrad actually made a point, and I'm sure it's all crossed our mind at one time or another. We could run a ticker. We could move a ticker. We got enough people. We got enough buy-in. We got enough money. And while we do move tickers. We really do. The commitment is that never, ever, ever. If you're curious about whether or not I've loaded something, check the chart. I'll show you my account. The reason we're all here is because we're sick of this shit. We're here to trade the market for what it truly is. And even if it's painful sometimes, I will not participate. Because what happens at the end? Baggies. You got to know what it is every single time. If it's garbage, if it's good, if it's whatever. The real, true market, no matter, because we don't want to be down here forever. The real, true market will always trade organically. And so while sometimes things that we do fall on our face. Really, compared to everything else I see, we don't do that much. I think we've lapped the competition in terms of runners. Triple lap. Excuse me. But sometimes it doesn't pan out, but we put ourselves in position to succeed and we trade organically with the market. People loved Cali. We looked at that money volume. Cali was doing 6, 10, 12 times the money volume of the even the nearest chat room pump. Not even close. I like homers. Home run. Home run hitter. I don't want to dick around. I don't want to leave people baggy. I'm not interested in it. We'll either succeed organically or fail. Then we will succeed organically. This is the way if you want to do OTC. Is it frustrating? Show is. I gotta go. I hope this was helpful. I hope this is some clarity on all of this. And it was worth your time. I gotta go. That's it. Thank you.